What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And great news is that meat's back on the menu, boys. Yeah, that quote from Lord of the Rings is that yes, stimulus checks are now included in the next stimulus package that they're supposed to have passed within the next few days. I'm going to give you all the details of it, the support from both the Republicans and the Democrats, how much the checks are likely to be, in addition to the unemployment extension. I'm going to give you all the details, the latest details, because man, this information is moving quick. By the hour, there's almost new information. So let me give you the newest information right now. But first, don't forget to give this video a like down below. It really helps out our channel, and subscribe down below if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on new stimulus check updates because, man, we're going to have a lot coming out. As I said right there, it is a big week, and it has been, it has held up to its promise. Okay, first up, stimulus checks are now back in the stimulus package, but they're negotiating on how much they should be. What they have done is they've taken this $900 billion stimulus package and they've split it up into two. A $748 billion package, which has a $300 per week unemployment extension, $1,200 per month. There's also rent assistance in there, food assistance, all sorts of different buckets of money that I will help you claim, because you're going to most likely have to apply for rent assistance and food assistance and these different buckets of money when they approve it. And the second package that they put on the side, which looks like it's not going to get passed now, is $160 billion for states and cities and liability protections for corporations. What it looks like they're doing now is they're taking that $160 billion away from the states and cities. They're going to give them nothing, and they're going to use that $160 billion for stimulus checks, which at first glance, the first wording we've been hearing, first it was from an anonymous inside source, and now we're starting to hear senators and Democrats and Republican House members repeat this figure of $600 to $700 stimulus checks, with checks for children in addition, but possibly up to $1,200. So first, I just got to say that it's good news, because literally if we go back a day ago or a week ago or 2 weeks ago or a month ago, there were no stimulus checks. Now we have stimulus checks, pretty much confirmation that there is going to be at least a $600 stimulus checks in. There's $600 to $700. The reason $600 to $700 is, and possibly higher, which I'll go to here in a second, $600 to $700 seems to be the amount that they can spend with that $160 billion. Remember, the $1,200 stimulus checks with the $500 for children cost about $270 billion, okay? So with $160 billion, that money they were gonna spend on state and local cities, they can pass about a $600 to $700 stimulus check. We're hearing various different details, and they're still negotiating on this, but what it looks like the initial thought is that it might be $700 if you make under $75,000. It's probably going to be the same criteria as the first stimulus check. So I'm getting a lot of these questions. There's a lot to go over here, so stay with me so you get all the details here of what's going on. If you qualified for the first stimulus check, you're probably going to qualify for this check. Okay, I've hear a lot of people talking about working families, unemployed families, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to hear those terms from different senators. But for the most part, 90% chance, I would say, if you got the first stimulus check, you will get this stimulus check, with possibly one exception. The one exception could be this. This quote from Senator Warner said, "It's not progressive at all to give stimulus checks to the employed if it costs the jobless." And what this means is that there's talk now of them possibly doing a $1,200 stimulus check, but not giving a $1,200 stimulus check to people who are unemployed, because the unemployed people would be getting $300 per week from the larger stimulus package, which is $1,200 per month. So the thought here, and again, I'm not saying I'm for this or against this. I'm happy there's checks, and I'm happy that they're talking about larger checks. We're going to go over more details here in a second. But the thoughts of what these Congress people are saying is that if the unemployed are getting $1,200 per month checks, that they shouldn't get an additional $1,200 stimulus check on top of that. However, that might be hard to actually implement and do that with their, that's a kind of a complex system to check and see who's on unemployment through all the different states and then apply it. And again, that's just talk. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. So this initial thought is that it's going to be $700 stimulus checks if you make under $75,000. If you make up from 75 to 99,000, then you would go down to a $600 stimulus check, which is kind of how it was with the first stimulus package. You got a $1,200 check if you made up to $75,000. If you made slightly more than that, up to $99,000, your check went progressively down. Okay. There's a lot of talk about that the stimulus checks should be more, mostly coming from Republican Senator Josh Hawley, and especially Democratic Senator, or maybe I should say independent senator, because Bernie Sanders technically considers himself an independent, although he always votes with the Democrats, and a lot of people just consider him a Democrat. So I don't know if it's right or wrong to say it's Democratic Senator Bernie Sanders or independent, but Bernie Sanders and AOC from the Democrats are pushing really hard for higher stimulus checks of $1,200. And remember, AOC is part of the Progressive Caucus, the Congressional Progressive Caucus that banded together today. There's 101 congressmen and congresswomen in that thing that are saying that there must be stimulus checks included, and they all vote together. So it's very important to get them on board, or else this bill probably won't pass, and then they'll have to revise it. Let me show you what Bernie Sanders is saying regarding the higher stimulus check. First, there's this tweet here that Bernie and Senator Manchin got into a heated exchange on a private Democrat call today, with Bernie Sanders insistent on more generous stimulus checks and Manchin staying in firm favor of robust unemployment insurance, basically the unemployment that unemployed people should get the money. But Bernie Sanders is pushing for that unemployment to stay the same and to have a larger stimulus check of at least $1,200. Here's what he says.
We got to get money directly to working families. And I'm glad that, as I understand it right now, we're at some $600 per adult, working class adult, and $600 for the kids. So for a family of four, that would be $2,400, which I think will be pretty good news during this rather bleak Christmas period with the pandemic. But we have got to do more. We have got to do more because the working class of this country, frankly, is in worse shape economically than any time since the Great Depression. So this is a step forward, and I certainly look forward to a Biden administration working with us to provide significantly more help to those people who need it.
And again, I just want to clarify that it's when they say working people, working class, the best thing you should think about is if you receive the first stimulus check, okay? Those are what they kind of mean by, working class. It's not if you actually have a job right now, except for that possible unemployment stipulation that they might have in there. So for everybody on Social Security, SSDI, retirement, if you got the first stimulus check, you should be receiving this stimulus check. That's the easiest way to think about it until we get more details. Also, briefly, we need to talk about why they're starting to gain so much more Republican support, especially from Mitch McConnell, who says he's actually in favor of the stimulus checks being in this package. Why all of a sudden now is Mitch McConnell, who's mostly never been in favor of a standalone bill for stimulus checks or adding in stimulus checks? I think maybe one time in the past he had a bill with stimulus checks in there. All of his other bills didn't have stimulus checks. Why now are they in favor? And apparently there's insider information that are saying that it's because they're fearful of losing both of those Senate seats that are up for grab in Georgia, which would make them lose the majority of the Senate. And that would complete what they call the blue wave, which is Democrats have control of the House, then the Senate, and the presidency. And apparently the Republicans and Mitch McConnell are worried that if they don't show support and pass this stimulus check, that those two seats could turn Democrat, which would give Democrats free reign of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And honestly, this kind of makes sense because the people who are most opposed to any stimulus or stimulus checks or stimulus package are Republicans. And again, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. Yeah, again, Senator Josh Hawley is a Republican. He's been a godsend here these last week or two, proponent for getting help out to the people. And again, I bash on Nancy Pelosi's and I bashed on Mitch McConnell, but the Republicans, they set up until maybe this past week or two, which you'd have to take a new poll, up to 50% to 60% of Republican senators didn't want to pass any stimulus package at all. Literally nothing. They thought the economy was doing good and that we shouldn't be spending more money, that we should be fiscally responsible, yeah, right now during a 1 in 100 year pandemic. And again, it's not nothing against Republicans or Democrats. That's just what they say, what they want. I mean, again, we were desperate enough to get the 12 Republican senators to vote for a package to pass the bill. Only 12 Republican senators. It used to be 15. Now it's 12 that they've lost a few seats in the Senate. So apparently now the Republicans and Mitch McConnell are thinking, if we don't show support for this package and this stimulus check right before the Georgia runoff, where we could lose control of the Senate, that could be very bad news for us. And again, here's why Republicans are getting anxious and possibly passing more stimulus than they would like is because of these US Senate elections. The Republicans have 50 people, the Democrats have 48. It's actually 46 plus 2 independents, Bernie Sanders being one of them, but they almost always vote Democrat. Okay, so it's 50 to 48, and there's the two seats are left in Georgia. And the polls for those seats right now, actually, it's this screen right here, shows that both the Democrats are winning. So if the Republicans don't win at least one of those seats, Mitch McConnell is not going to be the Senate Majority Leader anymore. It's going to go to a Democrat. And although the majority of bills need 60 votes in the Senate to pass the filibuster rule, not all do, including a possible stimulus package in 2021. And both the Democrats are currently leading those two Senate races based on polls, early polling results. To kind of throw some blame on the other side of the table to the Democrats, Senator Manchin, Democrats saying hindsight being 2020, Democrats should have taken Trump's stimulus offer of that 1.8 to 1.9 trillion dollars right before the election. President Donald Trump offered that to the Democrats numerous times, and of course, now we know Nancy Pelosi, who's actually pretty much said it in her own words, that she didn't pass the stimulus package because President Donald Trump would have had a check that went out with his name on it. And now we have a new president, she says, so everything's okay. And those decisions are in the past. But that package would have had enough for a $1,200 stimulus check or more, and possibly a $600 per week unemployment extension. So the good news is that stimulus checks are back on the table, at least $600. We're probably between $600 and $1,200. And at this point, I really can't give you a number because it could be 600, it could be 1,200. We don't know the details of that yet, but it looks like there's stimulus checks in there for almost certain. It almost looks like we're almost certain that they have an agreement on these $748 billion. They're going to basically attach a stimulus check onto that. The question is, will it be, how much will it be? And will they include stimulus checks for unemployed people? Will there be any stipulation changes like child support or dependents getting more money or more dependents getting checks this time around? Those details we do not know yet. But make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon on. I will keep you updated. Typical videos come out at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If I do have some breaking news that comes out that is really breaking, like they've agreed on it or they've agreed on the check amount or something like that, I might have another video coming out here in a couple hours, maybe say 11 p.m., but I won't unless there's absolutely breaking news. Then it'll just be in the 10 a.m. video. But I will keep you updated, so make sure you subscribe. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Jump onto the channel if you don't get a notification at those times, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because it looks like we're going to have a stimulus package passed and a stimulus check here within the next few days. You can click on this video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have dozens of students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.